Hello and welcome to the second edition of the RTK School of War. I'm Arklanon from RTK, blah blah blah, and here we are showing you how to increase your performance with heavy infantry. Heavy infantry is a very interesting unit, you know, great for pushing and everything, but currently a little underpowered. But in the future, I believe that they're gonna get buffed and become the mainline pushers again. But they're a little tricky to play. And here we're going to show you the general tricks. So when the game begins, as you can see, me and my archer support over here are moving a little forward. And what we're going to do, we're exploiting the enemy's weakness. We know that the enemy main line is weaker than ours. They've got spears versus our swords and archers. So that's what we are going to do. It's all about knowing your opponent, knowing your enemy, and positioning. Despite the common belief to the contrary, you don't just engage and forget. You need to keep looking around and pulling out as necessary, even though it's most oftentimes a very dangerous move. So here, I'm throwing my pillar at the enemy's flank, at least trying to. Sometimes it just doesn't work. The enemy runs away. Here we go. In general, you want to use your Pila as soon as possible, because very rarely will you be at a position where you really need a Pila but you don't have it. So first Pila is completely expandable, it just increases your overall damage. It's usually best to throw it at other skirmishers, but it's okay to waste it on some other unit. So here we have the enemy trapped between the forest and the land, with the riders barely supporting them. So now I realize that I am overextended. Now, one very important thing with the heavy infantry is that overextension is a huge issue. Sometimes you just keep pushing, like, oh man, we're making lots of progress. Next thing you know, you're completely surrounded. Always check your map. Always. I'm sorry that I have to do this through a recording, but currently replay system is not working. So this is the best we've got, and I hope to kind of people who watch this kind of get better at the game, so that we can have a little better competition and people can have a bit more fun, a bit more enjoyment from playing. So just like the javelins, you don't want to keep these guys all together. Just keep them separate. Yeah, just the standard formation is the best, because nothing can pass through. Now, we see in a situation here, okay, this is very important. Okay, remember positioning? This is positioning right here. So the first unit engages the one on the flank. We shoot our pillars and engage. Our two units hold. The third one knocks everything down. It's like playing heavy infantry is a lot like playing dominoes. Well, it's not really playing dominoes, but like stacking up dominoes. Two of them sets up. The third one knocks them down. So let's see how it goes. We are checking the surrounding area. Enemy knows what we are doing, but cannot stop us anymore. And now we charged him. Now he's completely surrounded. Now we engage. Now the surface area is very important. Here I know that I have the better offensive ability. So the less time I spend here, the more damage I can do in total. Even though my opponent is completely surrounded, he's not routing for some reason, but that doesn't matter. My increased offensive ability is able to do a lot more damage than he does to me. So time is on my side. Now my allies have seen this. Because I have not overextended, it is more likely that my allies will be able to help me. See, it's a team game. And as heavy infantry, you're not a Rambo. Unlike javelins or like skirmishers, you can't just stick with somebody, people need to stick with you, so you need to watch people who are providing you support. Try to keep close to your support so they do not get charged by the enemy cavalry. My support is right here. Just finishing up the enemy infantry. Even now, it looks like I've killed 264 of the enemy, and as you can see, my support, by sticking close to me, has managed to dodge the enemy cavalry and put them into my area. Now I charge back to the cavalry, routed one of them. Other one is escaping and received considerable damage. I'm trying to capitalize on our success over there. See, you need to take advantage of these smaller victories. The more you push them, the less units you'll have to deal with later. Right now, they're completely routed. And with that ability, it allowed me to get 289 kills. See, no vengeance, nothing but good charging and positioning. That's the key to playing heavy infantry. So now I saw that my ally is fighting against light infantry, a unit that I can beat in a straight fight. So I do not want to waste a lot of time on it. I see that there are archers behind him. So even though I'm slower, I can prevent the enemy from moving. So I can prevent enemy from firing. Also, one thing you might notice is that never frontally charge spears, because when they are in phalanx, if you charge them, you receive damage instead. So if you see spears, just don't charge them. Even if they don't activate their phalanx right, the risk is just not worth the game. Here we go. Complete wipeout. See, now because all of my units were occupied and I didn't check the map, my support has just got flanked and hit by those cavalry. But I still have a second support. The support that was helping the other guy is my support. And here is where you use one other use of Pilla is when an archer unit is low on health, you shoot them. That way they'll be able to rout thanks to the wavering mechanic. So in general, waste your first Pilla. Second Pilla is usually better saved for skirmishers. This way you still have a lot of I have a lot of men left. Just push with your team. The key to heavy infantry is pushing with your team. Play with your team. Because especially right now, you're the weakest unit, especially on higher tiers as it stands now. Maybe in the future that's gonna change, but in general, you're always with your team. Cavalry can ruin your day. Artillery is a hard counter to you, so that's why this footage was captured on the lower tiers to show you how to play them in essence. With artillery, you need to be running from cover to cover and coordinate with your team, but usually if you're in the open, there's nothing much that can be done. In the future, the artillery might change. We have I received some news from people who went to PAX that that CA is considering to change the way artillery works. I hope they take the user feedback into account, the player feedback into account. But yeah, so as soon as you're done with your main line, check your area and remember you are the slowest unit. You're the slowest unit, so kill your enemy, what's in front of you, instead of trying to like run from place to place. Go straight for the enemy base and try to decide the big decision when to go back to defend your base and when to push to the enemy base. If you're already past halfway point, it's usually better to go there. But if like sizable enemy is coming there, going to your base, especially if they're like light units, you might be better off going back to your base. It's something that comes with experience. It's very hard to explain. So here I've scored 503 kills simply by positioning. I hope it helps you understand how to better play heavy infantry. With Germanicus, we're gonna make a video about him later on how to use vengeance and charge. But usually you will have a charge with all the generals that utilize heavy infantry and even light infantry. So it's important to know how to time your charges, how to block the enemy cavalry. And that's about it. It's all about positioning and experience.